Good afternoon. Welcome again. My name's Celia Prudence. Thank you for being a member on the Patreon. I do appreciate every membership. Right, today we're going to commence work on the robin. Now, part one, I've explained a few things, and also I've put the pencils and which pencils we're using, and giving you some ideas of how to select. And I've also given you a color picker so you can see the colors, so that if you do have a different brand of pencils to what I have, then you can look from your own set and pick which ones you need. Okay, so now we're moving on. We've got the drawing down, and we're now going to start with the eye, as I normally do with any animal or bird. So the first pencil I usually use is going to be the dark sepia, and I want a nice sharp point, because obviously we're just going to be sort of putting some little lines in and mapping in everything on the eye. Okay. Even though I'll just sharpen it a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. So I've got a real nice point there. Okay, so I'm always going to be looking at my reference photograph. So ideally, I have mine on the tablet, so I enlarge it to the area that I'm working on, which is the eye, so I can see every little bit of detail. And then what I'm going to do is just gently, with the dark sepia, I'm just going to sort of outline the eye very carefully, but using a very light touch. And as you can see, the robin's eye is pretty round. It's quite big actually, but it's a round sort of shape. So that's just lightly there. Then I'm going to map in the pupil, but I'm going to go around these highlighted areas first. Okay, so this is where the light's hitting it. Okay, and then it goes up there. And then that comes around there. Okay. So then the pupil is this little bit here. So again, it's quite a big pupil. So I'm just going to put a layer in using tiny circular strokes, because the eye, we want it to be working away around that lighter area, so we don't mess that up. So using very tiny circular motions, but with light pressure again. This will go a lot darker, but later on, obviously. So we're just mapping places in at the moment. Now, at the top of his eye here, you can see where it's dark. And to make it look round, we need to make sure it looks like it's going into... So obviously, as the eye disappears into the eye socket, it's going to show some real shadow. So again, using small circular motions and putting that shape in there so we know exactly where that's going to be. And then also here at the bottom, we're going to there's a little bit of a dark area there. It's not quite as dark as maybe the top, but again, just map it in so we know where it is. Okay, so we've got the pupil, and we've got the eye shape, and we've got some of these shadow areas already mapped in. Okay, so it's going to go up there. So now I'm just going to have a look at this shadow area, this highlighted area, because it's not all pure white, and it is shaped. So I'm going to use, let me have a look. Let's have a look. I think I'm going to take, we got there. No, we don't want that one. It's not a blue, it's a coolish grey, isn't it? So let's have a look here. I'm first of all going to use so I'm just going to sharpen a couple of pencils. So I'm going to use the cold grey one. Oh, sorry, the warm grey one. And cold grey, a bit darker cold grey. It's a cold grey 3. Maybe a little bit dark, but we'll just see first. So first of all, what I want to do is sort of map in this highlight. So again, I'm using circular motions. Now I'm going to leave this bit here. I'm going to shape it round. I'm going to leave that white, the white of the paper. And then I'm just going to put this little light bit in here. Now, if we lose this, don't worry about it, because what we can do is once we've got the eye sorted and as dark as we want it, then we can actually use a slice tool if we need to remove it. And there is also another light patch there. Okay. And then I'm just going to go over this side a little bit with this is the cold grey 3, because this shadow's just that little bit darker there. And then it's just a bit darker on this side. That sort of comes around on the inside of that eye there. Okay. So that's that bit done. Now I'm going to use, where's my black? Brown. Let's try the black here. Bear with me one moment. Yeah, I've got a little tiny black here. So what I'm going to do, just so that I can see where I'm going, is I'm just going to mark in, just make this area up at the top here, just that little bit. I'm just going to put, I'm going around lightly with the black this time. I'm trying to make that lighter grey so I can see where it is, stand out a bit. And then this bit here is darker again. Okay, there we go. Just do it like that for now. Okay. Now that's what the example I was saying, how short my pencils can get. And then what I will do is I will stick that. Just bear with me. Right then, sorry about that. Somebody's phone was ringing. Right, so now we've got this darker area in. As I say, it's looking a bit, I call it an ugly stage, and it keeps going through an ugly stage, but we do have to build layers up softly and lightly and put plenty of them to create depth in both the eyes and in the feathers or whatever else we do. So, you know, we do have to take us time in building this up. I'm just looking, I'm just going to get a black, another black, a bit one's a little bit longer than that one. 2 minutes. Right, I'm back. Got a black here. I'm going to use a Caran d'Ache black, quite a nice dark colour. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a little sharpen. Now, one of my pet hates is just putting black down as black. Now, it might appear black, but it's not necessarily black. So I'm just going to go over this pupil again with the black around that highlight. Okay, just to give it a little bit more. So light pressure still. But what I'm going to do as well is a pupil, it doesn't want a hard line. It has to blend into there. But we're working in a very small area, so it's going to take some time. But also, I don't like to just put black. So I have a look at it. And if it's a warm black, then I'll tend to put a little bit of a dark brown on top of it as well. Or what I'll do is I'll bring the brown of the iris up into this pupil. And if it's if it looks more of a cool black, then I sometimes use dark indigo on the top, just to give it a little bit more depth into the colour. So it's not just a black. And we need to blend these the iris into the pupil. So looking at the iris, it's a brown, it's sort of a browny colour. But I need to put a bit of a base on there first, because we have got in the bottom core, the bottom side, we've got quite, you know, it is a little bit lighter. And when you're doing coloured pencil, one of the things that you need to look at is tones. And so it's not just the same brown all the way around here. We need to put some other tones. So I'm looking, and underneath that, it's a warm colour, and it's got sort of a little pinky tone. So what I'm going to do is I've taken the Polychromos 132, which is beige red, and I'm just going to literally put this around the whole of the iris up to there where the grey is. Blend it into that grey. Again, small circular motions. It's going to get very dark up here, but blend that into there. Blend it over that pupil. Okay, so we've got a nice beige red. So it's a pinky, it's a like a fleshy colour. Okay, so the next colour I think I'm going to put on is I'm going to put a bit of the let's have a look what we got here. Walnut brown. Again, it needs sharpening. We don't always work with very sharp pencils. Sometimes it's nice to have like a flat surface as well. So I'm looking at this and then I'm just with very small circular motions and light pressure again. I'm coming up here, up into this grayer area. Now, this is where it's going to get darker because the eye socket is going round there. Okay, and I'm going over the edge of the pupil. And this side is going to be very dark, except for that little line of light there. Okay. And as we come down to this bottom area, I'm just going to release the pressure slightly so I'm not putting as much colour on. Okay. So we've got sort of we're starting to build up a brown area around that now. For the next colour I'm going to put on, I'm going to put a little bit of the burnt umber on, especially here because it's really dark around this side. Okay, except for that little flash of light there. Again, over the pupil, up to this side. Now it's getting very dark here, so you can hardly really see the difference between the black around the eye and this section here. And then it comes down into this bottom area. Okay. But we've still got this light area just here. Still got a little bit of light. So again, I've just released the pressure, put the brown over, but not as much pressure. So I'm just going to puff some of this pencil away. Use a puffer, or you couldn't use a brush like that. Sometimes I'll be careful with the brush because you may just pull some of the pigment across. So I'm just going to go back over now with this black right up here where there is a hard line because that's where the shadow is. Again, small circular motions, and then again at the bottom, a little bit light pressure at the bottom, and then back over the pupil. Okay. So what's happened now is we haven't got a defined line as such around that pupil because we keep adding the brown. Okay, just to the side area there. And across this bottom area. And I might even add in again, get the dark sepia. Okay. And the dark sepia over this pupil. And up the side there, up into this sort of, this is the right bright highlight, but we've got this grey at either side, which is also part of the highlight as well. So we want to blend that into there. Okay. And then up this side here as well is quite dark. Except for this very thin light of line of light. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go over it with a bit of I'm not going to use the nugget. I'll probably use, I'm just going to use a bit of this terracotta. See if we can just brighten this up a little bit here in the bottom. There we go. So again, small circular motions, light pressure. Okay. And then I'm going to get the beige red again and just put a little bit more light in the bottom there. So it pulls that light through a little bit more there. And then back to the black and start to darken the pupil up again. These side areas. Down. Okay. And then back to the brown ochre, sorry, the burnt umber. Darken these sides and go around the pupil. Go and just on that bottom line there. Okay. It looks a little bit. There we go. Okay. And then I'm just going to go back over now and look at these highlight a little bit, because the highlights are never totally white. So I'm just going to get this coal grey one again. Go over this area here. Put that little bit of light back in there. So I'm putting a little bit more pressure on this time. And then I'm going to use a look what we got there. We need a little bit of pale blue. There we go. So I'm not going to go for the sky blue. I've gone for the ultramarine blue in the polychromos range. Okay. I'll sharpen it. It's really very small. So just along here, I just need to put just that fraction bit of blue. You may hardly see it on this paper, but it's there. And also it's showing a little bit in this sort of low light there. Okay. And then with a white, which I usually use luminance when I'm using white because it's quite opaque, whereas the polychromos are more translucent. And I'm just going to blend that blue, but with the white as well there. So we've got that highlight, okay? And then I'm just going to go back. There we go. And then if I need to, I can just pull out using the ceramic blade. And if I want to, just pull out a little bit of light area there. It's coming down here quite a bit there. And then obviously just pull a bit of that out there. Okay. Now, because we've put, we've got the pupil here, and then we've used the brown to sort of come from the pupil, not quite to the bottom of this eye, just to about there. So blending over the edge of the pupil, up here where it gets really dark, then release the pressure slightly so we get to this lighter section, and then go back up here where it gets a bit darker. So we've got the brown and the black. So it'll be hardly distinguishable with the tones, but it is there. Okay. This lighting's not the best. It's sort of, there you go. So you can see here, we're sort of coming up into this shadow area now. So it's black. You've got the pupil, but you've also got some brown on the edges here where it's getting darker. But then we've got this light that still hits the pupil as it's coming down. Okay, so that's about it for now for the eye. But what will happen is probably later on, you can always come back. I'm just going to tidy the outside of this eye up now. There we go. So we've got the eye done. Okay. So that's that. So now let's have a look at the beak. So let's move over to the beak. Right, so I'm just gonna lightly take out some of the pencil. So I'm using You can use an erasable rubber, or I use blue tack. I clean it by pulling it, and then I can just shape it get into some very, very tight areas like that, you know, just shape it into a point, and then just dab where you want to. If you don't want the pencil too dark, because one, it interferes with your colours, takes the brightness away, and also you just don't want the lines showing through at the end of your painting, do you, when you finish? Okay, so now then, I'm just looking, just before we move on to the beak, I'm using this, I'm actually going to use the, what have I got here? I've got the raw umber 10%. And I'm just going to go just right round the very edge of this eye, because what happens is a lot of the birds have what we call a ring round the edge. Okay, so that's a light colour. So it's only a very thin line. And it comes up to there where that light section is. It goes round there, and then put some at the top there. Okay, so we've got a nice round edge. You look just round the edge of the eye, just there. Okay, and come back to that in a bit. And then another thing, I'm just going to add, oops, got quite a light sort of area here. So I'm going to, what colours have we got? We've got yellow ochre, but I want to put a bit of a cream down first because it is very light. And that's sort of here where the eye sort of comes off here. So again, just using small circular motions. And it's not much bigger than that line we've just put round, but I'm just going to put a bit of cream there. Okay, and then also up here. I'm just putting it in with circular motions at the moment. Okay, so we've got a little bit of cream round there. And then I'm just going to add on this end, moving in, just a little bit of the yellow, and then it tapers in there to the eye there. Okay, and then this section is more yellow. So I'm just putting that in there. That's just so I know where to start when I'm going around the eye. Okay, so you can see there. So when you look at the reference picture, you'll see that's the sort of section on the right-hand side of the eye. Okay, let me put them over there. So now let's have a look at the beak. The beak is slightly open, but not much. So I'm looking for the lighter colour. So it's got a bit of cream in there at this end here. So just under where it comes to about there. So I'm putting some cream in. Again, circular motions because the beak is a smooth area. So I'm just going to pop that there. So that if I do go over it, what happens is I can actually go back by using the blade, it'll take me back to the cream colour, so the lighter colour. So now I'm looking at the next lightest colour, and I'm looking at it, and I think I'm going to put some raw umber down as a base, to be honest. So if I get the raw umber again, raw umber 10%, and I'm going to start where I've just left off with the cream. And I'm going to use the bottom part of this beak. Okay, that's mainly light coloured. Okay, and then that up there. That disappears into the cream area. So I'm going to do the whole of the bottom of this beak for now because we've got a light area up here as well. Then we could darken the rest of it off. And it comes off to a V there. Okay. Again, light pressure. Then on the top, I'm going to use I don't want a warm grey. I want to, it's more bluey. It is a lot more bluey. So I'm going to use oh, what we got here. Got a French grey, 30%. So for the top, I'm going to start with a base layer of the French grey, which has got a little bit more blue in it. Okay. And then that comes up there. It's got a, if you look at it, follow the shape, it's got like a zip and it comes down to there. Okay. That's the base layer on the top. And I can see just a little bit of yellow in this corner here. So I'm just going to pop in that little bit of yellow and a little bit of the over the top of the cream just there. Very light pressure just to blend that bit in there. Okay, so that's adding a bit of colour there. So now I'm going to take the dark sepia and I'm going to map in. So from the top of this, so I'm looking carefully at the picture. Here is where the nostril is of the robin. So I'm just going to mark that in. That's quite dark. It's a little long V shape there. So I'm just going to pop that in there. Okay. And then we've got this where the beak, where the two top and the bottom beak join. Okay. So that comes to there. At the bottom, it's a little bit wide. At the top here, it's a little bit wider because the beak is open slightly. Okay, and then it'll streamline down a bit more when we get to about here. Yep. Okay. Still not putting on too much pressure. Got that bit there. And then we've got like a bluey colour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use I've got here, which is a cold grey 3. So it's because it's a cold grey, it's got more of a bluey grey. So it's more of a bluey grey. So we're just going to put this on the top part of the beak. So that comes up here. Okay, and then I'm just going to pull it down into that yellow section just there. So that's the top part of the beak for now. And then the bottom, we've got a little bit of that, this grey here, the bluey grey just there. And it comes up there a little bit. Then we've got, it goes warmer. It goes to a warmer grey. So I'm actually going to use, I'm going to use my sepia 10% from the luminance range. Okay. Sharpen it up a little bit because we're working in a small area. So I'm going to put this on the, it'll come up here. Small motions again. You see it's a slightly different tone to the French grey. Okay, and then we come back down here. It's getting a bit darker there. And up here, so we can put a little bit more pressure on, just there. Okay, on that bottom part of the beak. So we've got the shape of the beak in. So now we just need to concentrate on the detail. So at the top of this nostril, it's quite light. Excuse me. It's quite light. So the rest of it, we're going to darken. So it might look a bit dark now, but once we start darkening the rest of it. Now here, it's got a blue effect. So I'm using the ultramarine polychromos and I'm just going to put a little bit of, so just on this top of the beak, just there. I'm actually going to put a little bit of the blue. Okay, so small circular motions. Okay, so we've got that bit of a blue at the top. And then we've got, so this is where it gets quite, so this is where it's the gap between the top and the bottom. It's quite a gap just there, so I'm just gonna using this is a dark sepia again, and I'm just using small motions. So we've got that there, so that goes up there a bit. It goes into the top of the beak as well. And then we've got a bit of a space. Got that there. Okay. And then the rest of it is sort of a nugget. I'm going to use a nugget because it's not a grey, it's a grey, browny grey. So I'm going to use the nugget for now. Fetch that round. Okay. The small circular motions. And again, I can see a little bit of pink just in this section here, just where we've added the cream and the yellow there. I'm just going to put a little bit of the pink. Okay, and then we've got, I'm going to use the burnt umber again for this bottom part of the beak. Okay, so right at the top, I'll leave a little bit of that lighter colour. And then circular motions. We've got this V bit that comes down here. And then it comes across here. And then just start releasing your pressure as going into there. And then it comes back up to this top bit here. Still needs to go significantly darker. Okay. So I'm going to go over it with the dark sepia, polychromos, circular motions. Okay. And then just release the pressure a little bit as we come down here and just leaving that lighter area just there. Okay. So now I'm going to use the black to go in and divide these two parts of the mouth, the beak. So very thin line up there. We've got this, that's the nostril there. Then we've got this bit of an opening there, and then it comes back to there. And then we've got this darker area just here. Again, circular motions, and it's a little bit like, so release your pressure as you get to the top of the section of the bottom beak, and just then like that, and then release the pressure off. Okay. It's the lighting, I think, on here that's let me just turn this light up in there. It's throwing a bit extra light on the subject. That's a bit better, I think. So let me just get rid of the, there we go. So if I hold it up to you out of the light, but again, there we go. So you can see we're building that beak up nicely, but it still needs to go a lot darker. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little, excuse me, a little bit of white on this top where the blue is, just to lighten that off a little bit, just right at the very top. Okay. Try and carefully, if you've got a very sharp point, so that you can see where you're going. I'm going to blend in that pink and that slight lemon there. Okay. I'm just going to go over all of this, sort of blend it. So it's going to lighten everything, but it's going to blend it nicely as well, because we want the beak to look quite smooth. There'll be just sections where it's being scratched, where they peck away at the food. Okay, so back to the black. Right, just 1 minute. I think, let me just, that's gone a little bit too far. So I need to actually fetch that blue out there a little bit more. That's better. Oops, and up there. Okay, so that's the top of the beak. Shape the top of the beak a bit more. And then I just need to The bottom beak a little bit too far up. There we go. So now you can see that the beak is slightly open. It's only at the very end, the very tip, where it's open. Again, I'm going back this time. I'm going to use the walnut brown. More circular motions to darken this section here. Just take care as to how far up the beak you can go, because it does lighten off, so you can release the pressure when you get down there. I'm just gonna sort of blend that with a bit of a ivory colour. We'll keep blending. Okay. There. And then I'm going to use the raw umber just to fill this piece here at the bottom, on the bottom part of the beak, and I'll put the top bit there. Okay. And then I'm going to put in, let's have a look. I'm going to actually use that bit too red. Yeah, that's too red. Got some burnt sienna there. No, caput more. Oh, excuse me. Some caput mortem, because it does look a little bit, I've got a tiny little bit of a reddy colour there. I'll go back over with the black. Okay. There we go. Don't remember to keep that nostril looking there. This pupil. Just keep going back to, if I see something at the time and I've got the pencil in my hand, then I'll use it and just keep going back to it. Okay. I'm just going to put this on a bit of an angle because the light seems to be affecting it a little bit much. So let me have a look if we can get this at an angle and see if we can get it looking. So you can see it. There you go. Look. So the eye, you can see the eye now does look a lot darker there. Okay. So I'm looking now at the bottom of this beak, and we have got a section which is from here, and then right in this corner here. It's a little bit it's darker, so I'm going to add some black, but again, releasing the pressure a little bit more when I get nearer to where it lightens up. Okay. And then I'm going to glaze some brown over that. So I'm going to use the burnt umber. And then that can go up at the top because it's obviously a lighter tone than the black. And then put a little bit of a brownie, nice light brownie shade right down there. Okay. And then we'll put just put a little bit at the top there. Okay. So let me have a look now if, oops. Where's that gone? Bum, bum. Right, so I'm going to pick my ceramic blade and I'm going to see. Now, you do need quite a few layers down for this to be effective, but we're going to have a go. So at the top of the beak here, you can see some tiny little scratches where the bird's beak do get. So I tend to work with the blade sort of facing upside down. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull out. If it doesn't work with the blade, then what I shall do is use there we go. So I don't want real big distinct marks or very light mark. I just want to make a few little scratches here and there where you can see the beak has been damaged. And what you can do, if you can't do it with that, you do it with that's it. So some little dots just along there, just where you can see where the beak is sort of scratched or been knocked. And that's usually due to obviously feeding and you know, pecking away at things. So let's just take a little bit, oops, take a little bit more out. That's it. And then I'm going to go back in with the black. Not going quite to the top. Darken this section that's really, really dark. Tidy up around some of these marks, the nostril and the section where the mouth is separated. Okay. And there we go. There we go. So you can see now we've got lots of different colours inside this beak, more than what you think. But we are working in such a small area that you won't put every bit of detail in, but you want a little bit in. And then I'm just going to go over this bottom section, bit of ivory from the polychromos. Okay. That was sepia just to darken that up a bit more. Okay. And then I'm going to put in a little bit of, oops, not very sharp. I'll use that one. I'm going to use some dark indigo where the blue is at the top. There's just a section just to give the shape when it comes up from the, where the beak separates from this bit here. There's a little bit of a darker blue just there. Okie dokie. Yeah, it's just there. It's just slightly darker there. And then forget the white again. Where's my white gone? There we go. And then just lighten up this blue at the top where the light is hitting it there. Okay, and then you can put some white in these little scratches that you've taken out or rubber marks. Okay, just to show. Okay, and blend that all nicely together. So there we have the beak finished. So it's a bit better that way there. Okay, so we've got the eye done and the beak done. So next time I'm going to be looking at starting to put some of these feathers, top feathers around the face, and looking at these oranges and really nice bright vivid oranges and red yellows. Well, I wouldn't say vivid, they're actually there is some sort of unusual, it's like terracottas. We've got terracotta in there, we've got ochres in there. Then we've also got like we have got some reds in there as well. I've gone for the scarlet red, or there is the like cadmium red. Also you'll see that there is, yeah, there's some terracotta and there's some yellows in there, but there's also there's a bit of green gold in there. In fact, there's a bit of green gold on this beak just here. Okay. And also going around here, I'm just going to put a little bit of that green gold just to darken up the edges of those little feathers at the top. So it's very light here next to the bird where we put the ivory. And then I've just put a little bit of green gold right on the edge there, and that sort of shows you the feathers as they're coming out from the eye. From the eye socket. Okay. I'm going to go over here with the the white just to lighten that off a little bit. Okay. I'm just glazing over there a bit there. So that blends all those colours in nicely together. Tidy up any areas that you feel. That's a bit of a lighter area in between there. That's it. So lighten up some of those areas. And then if you need to darken up anything, which is that bit there. Okay, so that's the beak. Okay, so we've got that done so far. So next time on the next video, as I say, we're concentrating on this on the robin redbreast, and then I'm also going to use a bit of this caput montum, or I'm going to use probably for the darker sections in the beak, in the breast, I'm going to use an Indian red, and that works well with some of these neutral colours like the terracottas and the brown ochres. Some of the brown ochres will be going in there as well. So we're going to start on the red breast next. Okay, so that's it for the first video. As I say, we will probably visit these back again, the beak and the eye, once we've got a bit more colour surrounding it, so we can judge our tonal values. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Have fun. Bye.